Welcome back to Fact Checking Robert F. Kennedy Jr. from the presidential debate. Part 12, so if you're just joining, you got some ways to go, but it's okay. You can jump in at any time. You don't have to go in order of the series. I'm going to continue on with the same format as my last video where I roll the clip and stop where I need to fact check and then keep it going.
This is your specialty, but I object to CNN's biased question, would you take any action to slow the climate crisis? That assumes climate change is a crisis. So do you think it is, and what would you do?
I think that climate change, first I want to say this, there's been nobody who's ever run for president of the United States and gotten anywhere. Well, let's say, I'll even say it more definitively, who has a strong environmental record and a larger commitment to the environment than I do. It's what I've been doing for 40 years. I believe climate change is existential, but I don't insist other people believe that. And I think I focus, and I've always focused on market-based solutions, which I think are the most efficient, eliminating subsidies for the energy industry, particularly carbon. We give carbon $5.2 trillion in subsidies a year.
So he just said that we give carbon $5.2 trillion in subsidies a year, and I feel like this needs a little bit more information. According to the International Monetary Fund, we actually give $7 trillion across the globe to carbon. He didn't specify if he meant US or across the globe. So that's the global number. The US is more in the billion-dollar range, but it's kind of hard to pinpoint an exact amount because there are direct subsidies and indirect subsidies. And I have that all linked on my website if you want to browse through those.
Creating a national grid system that is robust enough to do long-haul transportation of electrons. And we turn every American into an energy entrepreneur, every home into a power plant with the cheapest, most efficient forms of energy. The market, we need to start by protecting habitat, our air, water, wetlands, soils. That's the most important thing you can do from climate. It's almost altogether ignored. President Biden's program, which is the Inflation Reduction Act, does a few good things, but the bulk of it is large subsidies to the oil industry and to BlackRock and other really sinister corporations.
Inflation Reduction Act is very new, so I haven't actually been able to find a breakdown of like how many corporations got what amount of money and stuff like that. But this is what I found that I feel like is really good information. So according to Open Secrets, last year's most lobbied congressional bill by the oil and gas industry was the Inflation Reduction Act. They're not going to lobby for something unless it's going to benefit them in some way. And the US Department of Labor estimates that 70% of the funds from the Inflation Reduction Act go directly towards tax incentives.
Or carbon capture, which is a boondoggle. Carbon capture is a boondoggle. We should not be funding it. We should not be encouraging it. We shouldn't be encouraging any kind of geoengineering of that kind. We should be focusing on restoring our soils, doing regenerative agriculture, protecting our air, our water, our wildlife, stopping the carbon discharge from coal-burning power plants, which are causing $500 billion in respiratory injuries annually, poisoning every freshwater fish in our country with mercury.
Sorry, your time is up.
It is very well documented that there are adverse health effects because of coal-burning plants. According to one scientific study that I found, burning coal leads to lung, immune, heart, brain, reproductive, and even DNA problems. Now, he says $500 billion in respiratory injuries. I can't find that number anywhere. I can definitely find that it causes respiratory injuries by a wide margin, but I can't actually find that specific data point. In terms of the mercury comment, this is what the EPA has to say. Power plants are the largest source of airborne emissions of mercury. Mercury is a potent neurotoxin which affects the nervous system and brain functions, particularly in infants and children, and is known to cause significant health effects. And honestly, we don't really need to just single out mercury because it also exposes us to a ton of other heavy metals like lead as well. That's what I have for you for this episode. Let me know your thoughts and make sure you're following me for more.